All right, guys, so what I've got playing behind me right now, I can speak, is a developer showcase of the game Godfall, which will be coming out very soon. And I want to be clear that this is an AMD marketing video, okay? So this is a chance for a developer of this game to talk about the AMD Fidelity FX graphics processes that they're using here and showcase them. And I mean, to be honest, this game looks fantastic. I'll have the link to this video down in the description. But when you listen to this, they include a very interesting piece of information, and I think the reason why they're including it is specifically to be a slap in the face to NVIDIA. So at one point in this video, he states that when they're enabling 4K by 4K textures and playing this game at Ultra settings on a 4K monitor, that this game is going to require 12 gigabytes of VRAM for all of that. Now, let's talk about that. So, as most of you know, NVIDIA's 3080 is shipping with 10 gigabytes, and NVIDIA's 3070 only has 8 gigabytes. So if you're thinking about your 3080, or should you buy a 3080, and you've been a little bit nervous about that 10 gigabytes of VRAM, and AMD is offering 16 gigabytes of VRAM across the board on their 6800, 6800 XT, and 6900 XT, and wondering, is that going to be an issue in upcoming games? With new consoles coming out, a lot of times we see a jump in game development as far as what kind of specs can be required, because, well, games are often designed with consoles in mind. And with that being the case, when we get a new console generation, a lot of times we'll get a generational leap in graphics and also system requirements. So keep that in mind. Now, what's my opinion on this? Is this actually going to be an issue for NVIDIA? And for me, it's a bit of a question mark. And I want to remind you guys that I'm a math teacher doing these videos on my lunch break and in my free time. So I am not a game developer. I'm not a graphics engineer, none of that. And by the way, thanks everybody who's watched my videos. Hit the like and subscribe buttons, because that's helped my channel grow. And I've been doing this for less than a month now to over 1,000 subscribers, which is amazing. Thank you guys. Don't want to talk about that too much. Let's talk about this. What I'm getting at is that the NVIDIA cards do use a better memory than the AMD cards do. The NVIDIA cards use GDDR6X, and the AMD cards use GDDR6. And like I said, I'm not an expert to understand exactly what that is. By the way, look at the CAS thing behind me right now. This thing looks pretty good, and they say it doesn't have much performance loss. But anyway, I want to get back to what I was saying. So GDDR6X memory is faster. So is it possible that when you actually compare the performance here, that you could run at the same settings and the NVIDIA cards actually do fine, because even though they have less memory, they're able to load things in and out quicker? Like I said, I'm not an expert enough on this to give you an informed opinion on if that will be the case, but I do want to bring up the point that it could be the case. So could this 12 gigabyte thing just be a marketing thing for now that ends up not having a big impact on the overall actual performance of the game on NVIDIA cards? You know, it's something we'll have to find out. And if you pause here, they show you all the system stuff that they were running that on. Anyway, again, link to this video down in the description. So, is the 16 gigabyte thing for AMD a big deal? Well, it's certainly helping them in marketing. I know that personally, I'm a little bit worried about getting a 3070 or a 3080 due to the VRAM, and thinking about, okay, in current games that are out right now, that doesn't seem to be an issue. But in the games that will be coming out over the next 2, 3, even 4 years, which is the length that a lot of us mere mortals on normal budgets need to keep a graphics card going, if we're buying something this expensive as a 3080, you're going to want it to be able to run games at ultra settings at high resolutions and high frame rates for years to come, not just the games that are out right now, and as soon as we get a new generation of them using higher quality textures, maybe the 10 gigabytes isn't enough. I don't know. I really don't know, but it's something to consider. But when you do watch this video and see things like that, absolutely make sure you have it in your head that this is AMD marketing And bear that in mind. These are not independent reviews. These are not performance results. Notice that as far as I could tell, while we see the game looking beautiful here, we're not seeing what frame rate it's running at. So like, it looks great, but what is that frame rate? They weren't jerking the camera around quickly to see if it was stuttery. If you do nice smooth pans, you can make things look pretty dang smooth when maybe they're not running at like 100 frames per second, if you know what I mean. Anyway, that's what I've got to say to you about that particular piece of information. And today's video, we're going to keep it pretty short. There was one other interesting thing I did notice, though, which is regarding AMD's ray tracing support, which is a big question on a lot of people's minds right now. Is AMD ray tracing? Well, I would love to be bringing you performance details, but that's not what I have for you today. What I have for you instead is support details. So this I found at videocards.com, and I'll link this article in the description to the video. But they got it, I guess, from Adored TV, who had somebody from AMD marketing give him a statement about support. So specifically, the statement is, AMD will support all ray tracing titles using, but wait, there's more, not all ray tracing titles, all ray tracing titles using industry-based standards, including the Microsoft DXR API and the upcoming Vulkan ray tracing API. Games making use of proprietary ray tracing APIs and extensions will not be supported. So basically what they're saying here is a lot of games use Microsoft's DXR, and I guess there would be an upcoming addition to Vulkan allowing a open ray tracing API. Whereas there are certain games that are using NVIDIA's DirectX RTX or NVIDIA's Vulkan RTX APIs to support their ray tracing. And I think that made sense for a while because really NVIDIA in this last generation of cards was really the only one doing the ray tracing thing, right? So, does this matter much? Well, I don't think there's too many games that I'm aware of that only use those NVIDIA exclusive stuff. In this article, they're bringing up like the Quake 2 RTX, which to be fair, like I don't consider that really a game. I think of that as more of a tech demo. But then we do have Wolfenstein Youngblood, which apparently is also using that NVIDIA RTX proprietary system. But games that are even thought of as like NVIDIA showcases for all of their RTX features, like Control, apparently are using the DirectX DXR, right, that AMD will support. So that's an interesting piece of information. So to me, this looks like it's saying that AMD will be supporting most ray tracing titles, but that there could be a few NVIDIA exclusives. And I'm not at all worried about this personally, because think about it. AMD's graphics technology is in the consoles. This new generation of consoles that support ray tracing are doing it using AMD's RDNA 2 architecture. And most big AAA games, and again, I'm saying most, not all, okay, are developed with the consoles in mind, and then also developed for PC. But the consoles tend to be the main development focus. And I'm sorry, PC gamers, but for most big AAA games, that is the case. I understand there are exceptions. There are games that are exclusive to PC or developed with PC in mind first and then also developed for consoles. But anyway, with consoles being a major focus for game development and consoles supporting ray tracing now using AMD's technology, and one of those consoles being, owned by Microsoft, who does the DXR standard, right? Like most games, especially now that AMD actually has ray tracing, most games developed now, I think, will be supporting AMD's ray tracing technology. So we still have giant open questions about how that technology actually performs. Although in my video a couple of days back, we did see some leaked information about Tomb Raider benchmarks. Tomb Raider being another ray tracing game, I think one of the first ray tracing supported games. And we got some benchmarks, apparently, if the leak is true, of an AMD 6800 running that game with ray tracing on and doing fairly well. Now, keep in mind that Tomb Raider is not a great ray tracing benchmark. It just has ray traced shadows. There's a lot of other types of ray tracing, games that implement a lot more ray tracing, but that is what we have for now. Now, AMD has stated that we will get ray tracing info filled in before the launch of the cards. And If you tune into my channel, I'll be doing my best to find that information for you as soon as it's available and get it published to you right here on YouTube. So thank you guys. I hope you have an excellent day. If you made it to the end of the video, think about liking and subscribing if you're interested in technology and especially PC-related technology content. Thank you. Have an excellent day.